When the sun shines on the mountain and the night is on the road, it's a new day, it's a new...
You've probably heard about the Mediterranean diet and its association with multiple health benefits. The Mediterranean diet is a traditional dietary pattern of the Mediterranean countries, especially Greece, Italy, and Spain. It's not a strict weight loss diet, but rather a healthy lifestyle that combines food, physical activity, and social habits. It has been recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. In this video, we show you what the Mediterranean diet consists of and how to live it.
Una paloma blanca over the mountains I'll fly, and no one can take my freedom away. La 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 la.
Hello human, welcome to a short documentary by Marginal Media. This is the town of Torre del Mar, a tourist destination on Malaga's Costa del Sol. My partner and I used this place as a base during January and February of this year to explore the Axarquía region of Malaga and other areas of Andalusia such as the White Villages route, Cabo de Gata, the Alpujarra of Granada, and Doñana National Park. We also used Malaga Airport to get lost in 3 of the Canary Islands. For those who like travel videos and are interested in these places, I suggest subscribing to our channel Marginal Opinion, where we already have many travel videos about Spain and Australia and will be adding more from this latest trip. For now, we're sticking with Torre del Mar, which isn't as spectacular as the other places you're watching, but it deserves our attention for today's topic. I think this place perfectly represents the Mediterranean diet lifestyle. Mind you, I am not saying that everyone here gets the exercise they should or that there aren't people gorging themselves on churros or sweets. But let's focus on the routines and you'll understand. To start with, the Mediterranean is right there. I've been coming to Torre del Mar for 50 years. When I spent my summers here as a teenager, this promenade didn't yet exist. The town was just beginning to take off as a tourist destination, but it was still better known as a small fishing village belonging to the municipality of Vélez Málaga. Today, Torre del Mar already has its own identity, but is not yet an independent municipality. In the summer, the town is a hive of activity for vacationers. The rest of the year, it's still a peaceful place to live. With 300 days of sunshine a year, it's ideal for sheltering from the harsh European winter. Interestingly, my partner and I were escaping the heat of the Australian summer, but the many English, German, and other European residents here are escaping that, the cold and the lack of sunshine in their home countries. The town's aspiration is to maximize its potential, hence its tourism logo, Torre del Mar, all year round. But for us, it's perfect as it is in the winter. Almost all businesses are operating and services are available immediately. It's certainly a different story in the summer. So, strolling in the mid-morning and midday sun or during the mellow light of sunset is a routine that we can already say fits with the Mediterranean diet. The beach, with its predominant westerly breeze, fresh and pleasant, cleansing the atmosphere and clearing the sky, is a perfect place for walking and inviting exercise. The Torre del Mar seafront promenade stretches 3 kilometers, unwittingly connecting with those of the adjacent towns to the east, La Caleta de Vélez, Algarrobo Costa, and La Mezquitilla, a total of almost 7 kilometers. Most of these promenades are full of various amenities for community use. There are exercise areas designed for different ages and levels of intensity, recreational areas, game tables, a library, and a space for storytelling, book exchange booths, bicycle and scooter lanes, sports fields, and of course beach bars, and terraces where you can eat and drink at reasonable prices. More on that later. I remember this from my younger years. With not a single shaded area to protect us from the sun, nothing but earth or mud when it rained, separating the beach from the concrete of the buildings. Little by little, they've established a few trees and gardens, filling the promenade with benches and shaded areas where the elderly sit and chat. Why would they stay in the solitude of the house when they could be killing time in each other's company and enjoying the sea breeze? This habit, for me, is an important part of the Mediterranean diet. Not just the social connection, but the intergenerational connection. Seeing children, adolescents, adults, and the elderly so close to one another, each doing their own thing, but breathing the air of the others. And in the case of Torre del Mar, this is also experienced culturally, because one finds every European nationality and several African nationalities living together, each integrated in their own way with the deep roots of the Andalusian people and character. Coming from where my partner and I come from, an Australian town where you go for a walk and see more kangaroos and koalas than people, this constant human contact really caught our attention. Human connectivity is not only important for mental health, but recent studies on happiness indicate it's the key to it. But without straying from this topic, it's worth noting that this connectivity is also important for the physical activity characteristic of the Mediterranean diet. The collective, active and social lifestyle rooted in the climate, history and culture of the Mediterranean cannot be fully understood without mentioning the use of public space as an extension of the home. Which is why I have to mention Ricky, a friend from my teenage years whom I wanted to contact when I arrived in Torre del Mar. Before I actually did, I'd already run into him on the street or on the seafront 4 times. He always went there to buy something, bread or his fish, or to look for someone. Another culture shock for me, given that where I live, I only go shopping once a week or once every 2 weeks. From the Roman forums, where people debated, negotiated, or simply strolled, to the medieval main squares where markets, festivals, and processions were held, around the Mediterranean, public space was the center of daily life. It wasn't just a place of transit, but of permanence. This favored a less sedentary lifestyle. People walked more, stood more, and participated in communal life. Today we call this light but constant physical activity, and it is one of the foundations of a healthy lifestyle. The Mediterranean diet isn't just a list of foods. It's a cultural model that begins, as Ricky does, by going shopping for the day's fresh produce. In ancient times, squares and markets were places where people bought fresh local produce. Vegetables, fruits, fish, bread. People shopped on foot, chatting with vendors, choosing seasonal products, very different from consuming processed foods from a modern supermarket. In places like Torre del Mar, where small, specialized family businesses still exist, shopping can be different from relying solely on supermarkets. Preparing food with fresh ingredients and how it tastes compared to processed foods is another matter. And for this, no Mediterranean influence is necessary. My partner and I know this much, as we eat huge amounts of food from our garden every day. The color of these plates alone says it all. Meals in the Mediterranean diet are slow, shared, and conversant. It's a continuation of shopping at the market, chatting with vendors, meeting a neighbor with groceries in the doorway and discussing what's going to be cooked. Or people continue to use public spaces, eating in bars and on terraces, the surroundings inviting socializing, eating relaxed, savoring without stress. And equally without rushing or stress, here's a side note to comment on one of the greatest contributions Spain has made to humanity, the daily menu. We'll do so after the break. Any Spaniard or anyone traveling in Spain is familiar with the menu of the day. It is a fixed price menu, traditional in Spanish restaurants, which includes in the first course, choice of 2 or more options. A second course, also with several options, bread and a drink, and dessert or coffee. Some restaurants, to pass the time while waiting for the first course, offer a free tapa or snack. The menu of the day is very common on weekdays, especially at midday, and is usually available between lunchtimes, from 1 to 4. Its origin dates back to 1965, when the Franco regime established the tourist menu, mandatory in restaurants serving tourists. In 1981, it was replaced by the Menú del Día, expanding its scope to the general public, with regulations requiring all restaurants to offer it subject to certain price and composition conditions. This price had to be affordable and posted at the entrance of the establishment. With the liberalization of the sector at the end of the last century and the beginning of this one, the obligation to offer the menu of the day in Spanish restaurants was officially repealed in 2010 to comply with the European directive requiring the elimination of national regulations that imposed specific obligations on service providers, such as the requirement to offer a fixed price menu. Many restaurants and bars continue to offer the menu of the day out of tradition and popular demand. The price and composition of these menus are now completely free, although many autonomous communities require that, if offered, the menu be clearly advertised externally. The composition of the menu of the day currently closely resembles the original and prices remain affordable. Until May 2025, the average price of the menu of the day in Spain was €14, about 25 Australian dollars, which represents a 6.1% increase compared to 2023 when it cost €13.20. Prices outside of cities may be cheaper than in them. In Torre del Mar, we found a place with a €6 menu. The menu wasn't much, but it still met expectations. €6 is about 10 Australian dollars. In Australia, beer alone can cost that much. The first course on the menu del día is usually a spoon dish, often legumes, something distinctive of the Mediterranean diet that is rarely included in Australian meals. An interesting debate could be whether the famous siesta is part of the Mediterranean diet or not. In much of Spain, the split day is still practiced, meaning there is a substantial break from work for lunch. Traditional business opening hours in Spain, at least for family-run shops and businesses, usually close between 2 and 5 p.m. This is enough time to eat and rest, whether or not including the siesta. I can't find any definitive studies indicating that the siesta is necessary for the Mediterranean diet to work, but it can complement a healthy lifestyle. It's been proven that taking a short nap, 20 to 30 minutes after eating, can aid digestion and improve concentration and mood. A siesta after a balanced lunch, the main meal of the day, and followed by afternoon activities is part of the slow, healthy rhythm of life in Andalusia. If you miss lunch and the siesta, don't go looking for dinner at 6 p.m. In Spain, dinner isn't served before 8 p.m., from then until 11 a.m., or in summer even after midnight. If you're a tourist or traveler or don't want to eat at home, morning or nighttime hunger can be quelled with the famous tapas and raciones. Another pause and we'll tell you more about it. The origin of the tapa is interesting and has different versions. The most accepted one dates back to the Middle Ages. It is said that waiters would cover wine glasses with a piece of bread, ham or cheese to prevent insects or dust from entering, especially in taverns along roads or coastal areas. Hence the name tapa, which means cover or lid. Another version, also from the Middle Ages, refers to King Alfonso X ordering that wine not be served in inns without some food to accompany it after he recovered from an illness during which he had only been able to drink wine if accompanied by small portions of food. The measure would have spread as a rule to avoid rapid drunkenness among the people. This is the most widespread belief in Andalusia, that the tapa arose as a way to avoid the effects of excessive alcohol, since eating something at the same time as drinking helped it to be tolerated better. Over time, the custom of offering slices of cured meat or cheese on top of the glass of wine became a gesture of hospitality. Today, it is still common for tapas to be free in many bars, in others not. In others, you may be charged something separately. It also depends on the tapa. They can be free if it is something simple, olives, nuts, a piece of ham, or cost something if they are small portions of elaborate dishes, potato omelette, meatballs, calamari, etc. In many places, such as Torre del Mar, a special price is popular for the combination of a drink and a single tapa that you can choose. The bar counter and small tables with stools are used for this type of consumption, while the larger tables on the terraces are reserved for raciones, larger plates of stews to share. As everywhere else in the world, inflation is noticeable. These are the tapas prices from 8 years ago in Torre del Mar, and these are from this year. The price has doubled. Even so, 3 alcoholic drinks with 3 tapas per person or 6 drinks and 6 tapas cost my partner and me 20 euros per night, about 35 Australian dollars. Going out for tapas or tapear is more than just eating. It's sharing, chatting and moving from bar to bar, savoring the best of the local cuisine in small doses. Tapear is about maintaining constant physical activity in an organic, natural way without any planning, except for deciding which bar to go to next for a drink. Going out for tapas is definitely part of the spirit of the Mediterranean diet. Until next time, peace.
Vamos a echarle un dedo.